We've heard about this happening from across our country, east to west coast. And my next guest is a voter in Arizona. She went to cast her ballot in Maricopa County. That's the county we've all been focusing on since Tuesday night, right? And maybe you've heard about this, or even calling it SharpieGate, where a lot of folks in a conservative area were given Sharpies to fill out their ballots. Now, most of us know you should use a pen or a pencil because a marker can bleed through and mess up the ballot and it may not get counted. So I want to get a first-hand account from Shayne Phares. She's joining me now to talk about her experience on Tuesday night. And Shayne, welcome to Real America. Thank you so much for reaching out to One America News. I know you sent an email in yesterday telling us your story. So I'm going to shut up and I want you to tell the American people what you experienced Tuesday night.
Hi, Dan. So my sister and I went to vote at our local polling place in northern Arizona. It's on the corner of Pima and Pinnacle Peak. And we went in and we were handed a ballot and a Sharpie pen, which surprised both of us because we've never voted with a Sharpie before, only with a regular pen or a number 2 pencil. Went to our polling booths. We were right next to each other, marked our ballots, and we realized that the Sharpies were bleeding through terribly on the backside of our ballots. And these were 2-sided ballots. We were voting on both sides. Turned over our ballots. They were a mess. I mean, really a huge mess. So we inquired with the poll worker there. We said, listen, our pens are bleeding through. It's a mess on the back of the ballot. He assured us that that would be okay, that wouldn't affect our ballot when it went through the machine, as long as it wasn't in the circles of where we're going to be voting on the other side of the ballot, marking our other side of the ballot. So we filled out our ballots and they were an absolute mess. We put them through the machine and they did go through, they didn't pop back out. But what really concerned me was that I started to hear about the Sharpie issue the day after the election. And then the next day in our local paper, the Arizona Republic, there was a paragraph buried in an article about SharpieGate that said if you used a Sharpie pen to mark your ballot, that your ballot was going to be transcribed, copied by an election worker, and that they would recast your ballot, which really alarmed me because the poll worker that would be filling out my ballot, I don't know if they're Republican or Democrat, and I never have a chance to confirm that my ballot would be marked properly and be cast again. So essentially, I feel like I didn't get to vote, like my vote was taken away from me.
Shayne, we looked up those articles, and now your elections boards folks in Arizona, I believe your Secretary of State, everyone has come out and said that it's a conspiracy theory, no big whoop, that markers are fine, that the machines read them. But I agree with you, they did not address about the transcribing over. And we just showed some video before your interview from other states where poll workers are allegedly transcribing votes over from ballots that maybe the machine wouldn't read. I don't know. Maybe they didn't fill it out properly with some of the information. But I agree with you. It is very disturbing to get an answer like, well, it's okay that we gave you the markers and that the ballot got messed up because someone is going to take yours and a new one and transcribe it over and then put it into the machine. Who's watching them? How do we know that it's done properly? And because we have seen in Philadelphia and Michigan and other states where they are stopping GOP poll watchers from standing there 6 feet away with COVID and watching this, how do we know it's being transcribed accurately? That's the big question, and that's your biggest concern, correct?
It is, and also, I would really like to know who made the decision all of a sudden to use these Sharpie pens in this election. I've never been given a Sharpie before.
Me neither.
This is new.
Yeah, years ago it was always pencils and pens, but it's got to be even certain pens because some pens bleed, right? Too much ink.
Right.
Seems a little fishy. And they were the black Sharpies, which just ironically are the big black Sharpies that President Trump always likes signing his executive orders with.
True.
Again, not trying to, but you guys, you saw this, and you also, I believe, told me on the phone last night, you heard about it happening at other polling stations in Maricopa County, not just the one you went to, correct?
Yes, not all though, which I find curious. And then also I heard this was an issue in Nevada as well. I've heard that on the news.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to leave it right there. Shayne, just because I don't like adding fuel to fires as far as conspiracy theories, but you bring up a very good point. Who is in that room watching over the shoulder as they transcribe your ballot, an American citizen who put your trust in the system and voted and thought that your vote would count? Someone needs to be observing that, and it doesn't sound like anybody is, especially from the right side, because they're stopping it from happening in states across this country. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, Shayne Phares, thank you so much for coming on Real America and telling your story. We really, really appreciate it, and hopefully we, all of us, the American people, will get some answers. You take care.
Thank you, Dan.